I would have been like, you better destroy that thing.
Yeah, burn that mug.
Like, why you got cactus prickles all over your body? Don't worry about that, baby.
I tripped.
It's on your lips. and on that note, Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Super Agile Bros. More importantly, this is a very special episode. So today it's just gonna be me and Kyle, because we have something very special to talk about. Kyle, tell the people hello, because we gotta get into this.
What's going on, everybody? Yes, very happy and excited for this episode. Been a long time coming.
Long time. Yeah, we've been plotting on this one for a minute, and timing and everything hasn't worked out. But I'm happy that we're finally sitting down to talk about it. So let's get into it, because there's a lot to unpack, a lot to get into. Today we're going to be talking about Bugsnax, the one and only Bugsnax. Let me do this. I'm going to throw it to you, Kyle. Mm-hmm. For those who may not be familiar with Bugsnax, what would you describe Bugsnax as? Like, give a lowdown overview of what Bugsnax is, so people understand.
Okay, yeah. So Bugsnax may not seem to be all that it appears. So when you first look at Bugsnax, you see the puppet-looking people, and so the premise of Bugsnax is that these people went to an island, and on this island there are these little creatures that they call Bugsnax. Part bug, part snack. That's the name. And so what they do is they like to eat these bugs. And so you play a character in the game who goes to this island to figure out, what's really the deal with these Bugsnax? What are people doing? Are they safe to eat? It's the scoop of the century for the grumpuses, as they're called.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, essentially, the game is fundamentally what he said. It's a game about discovery and wonder and what is really happening. Like, why, for me, I don't know how you were introduced to Bugsnax, but I think literally I was introduced to it because it was kind of being made fun of almost, mm-hmm. because it was like one of the initial PS5 launch games.
Right, yeah, it doesn't look like it should be a launch game.
For any platform. No disrespect to Bugsnax. But definitely not the PS5, which is like the next generation, graphics, mm-hmm. fidelity, horsepower, whatever you want to say. And it looks like, it could be on like the Xbox 360 or something.
Yeah.
Like
it doesn't look terrible, but doesn't look mm-hmm. next gen like exactly. Typical launch titles. Like, it's definitely not pushing the hardware from what we can tell.
Yeah, not at all. I don't know. I ran into some times where it did have a little bit of like chug, but that was maybe just the developer's standpoint. Even though they had all the power, they didn't do it right. But yeah, in many ways, to me, it felt like a remaster of some other game, Like, does Bugsnax already exist? Because, like, relatively recently, I was playing Viva Pinata. Because that's one of my, like, secret favorite games from back in the day. I used to play it in college, and all my roommates would watch me play. And I was trying to introduce Charlene, my wife, to it. And she was like, this game is so weird, But it's kind of got that same vibe to me. Like, it has all these... It's like colorful, like Viva Pinata is very colorful, and it has all these like very unique names, like butter, like it's always trying to like have a I guess all the characters, all the animals in it, because you're supposed to capture them, have names that are like food specific, like jelly bean worm, like jelly worm or something like. So
I never played Viva Pinata, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very creative, and Bugsnax definitely is within the same ilk. So I guess before we get started deep into the conversation, because and just for those who are watching, I can say watching or listening, I guess you could be watching on YouTube. we're gonna get deep into Bugsnax. Like we're getting,
Oh,
we're gonna go into the story. We're gonna go into the gameplay. We're gonna go into everything. So if you
Spoiler
are
warning.
not interested in getting Bugsnax spoiled, I recommend that you maybe just stop now, and maybe play Bugsnax, and then come back and continue listening. But
Definitely play it.
yes, definitely play it. And so I guess on that note, what would you give Bugsnax, like just overall, like just out of a 10, and like kind of your reasons for what you would maybe rate Bugsnax?
Okay. So I think I'm gonna have to break down my ratings for
Okay.
Bugsnax. Like I don't think I was gonna be able to give it like an overall rate. Like as far as creativity is concerned,
Mm-hmm.
like from what I was expecting from the game, flipping that on its head, I give that a 10. Like
Okay.
subverted expectations when it came to this game. I was enthralled, man. Like I had to, like I didn't expect it at all, and so I give it a 10 as far as like immersing me and really captivating me. As far as gameplay is concerned, it didn't do anything that was like mind blowing, but it ran solidly. So I think it accomplished what it set out to do. But if I'm like putting it next to games that do like super impressive build upon other mechanics and stuff, it didn't do that. So I give it like a solid 9.
Okay. That's a good, yeah. I mean, I think I fall right in the same realm. I mean, this game is so ridiculously creative. like I don't know. I try to think sometimes like where people come from, their ideas from, like what made you come to this idea? Like, and it's hard for me to figure out like what the premise, like what was the first initial idea that they pitched,
Right.
in the team? Like, oh, we're going to make a game about people who eat things and transform, but no, it'll be about these nuanced relationships between these different maybe nuanced is a strong word, but these relationships between characters, and like, oh, we're gonna focus really heavily on voice acting and just like make you fall in love with different characters for who they are. And we're also, it's gonna be like a romance story, and it's also gonna be it's like they went all over the place. They had a vision that I can't imagine where it came from. And yeah, I agree with you, Kyle, when you say like the gameplay overall is just like what it is. Like it's fun. Like actually, I think I said this to you earlier, but the gameplay was, after a point, maybe like halfway through the game, maybe 75% through, I was kind of like, can I get through the gameplay so I can just continue the story? Like,
Yeah,
I was more
definitely felt
interested
that.
in the characters, and so you felt that too.
Yeah, especially because as you go on, so just to kind of give an overview, I guess, of the gameplay. So it's in first person mode, and you play as one of the grumpuses on the island. But your main thing that you do is that you trap the Bugsnax because they don't want to be eaten necessarily. So you have to set up traps and figure out elaborate ways to lower their defenses, so to speak, because they're just bugs. They're running around, but some of them are like on fire or really cold, so you can't touch them, or they fly around. And so since you're on the ground, you have to figure out how to get them out of the sky. And so so the moment to moment is you trying to figure out how to catch them. But once you've been playing for a couple hours, it's kind of rinse and repeat for some of them, and like some of your objectives are centered around capturing a particular bug snack, which can get kind of aggravating because then once you do it, all it does is move the story along. And so not always does it feel like it's super rewarding to go and figure out how to capture this elaborate bug snack.
Yeah. I feel like, so I guess I didn't give it a rating, but I'd probably give it an 8.5. Maybe round it up to a 9, kind of similar to you. But kind of going to like, talking about the main mechanic of the game, which is capturing Bugsnax. And once again, like Kyle was saying, like people are like, the story is like, oh, what are Bugsnax? Where they come from? Why do they do what they do? And basically also like, there was like a slight like addiction like storyline that maybe we'll get into, where like Bugsnax are so delicious that like they can be an addiction. And so how you progress the story, how you progress the game, is that it'll like give you objectives to capture certain Bugsnax. Some of the Bugsnax, like you capture them, like Kyle saying, like it's kind of like a puzzle game, right? Like you're just trying to figure out, how do I use the items that I have, the environment, to make a Bugsnax get into a state that I can capture it, if it's on the ground or in the air or in some other state. And so in that way, like, I would say the weakest part of the game is that part, but also I could see it being really cool. I think what it really came to me is that after a point, it just got, like you said, repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed to be like, oh, I'm going to capture this Bugsnax, but I got to do something really annoying to trick it into,
yeah.
You know.
And some of it was interesting. You know, I remember one, it's kind of late game, but you're in the desert. And so there's a lot of different styles, I guess, of Bugsnax. Like they start to mix the different elements that you've seen along the way. And so that progression felt nice. And so being able to put the things to practice that you did learn before was cool. But then at the same time, I guess it was, you know, at that point, you know, since it was so far into the game, like you were saying, it was things I didn't really necessarily, I didn't want to be forced to do them, I guess, to progress the game. Because to me, the capturing never became like not fun. It's just I was kind of done with it after a while.
Yeah, and actually, like, the desert is, when I think of Bugsnax as far as, like, what it was trying to do, I feel like the desert was, like, the culmination of all it, like you said. And actually, the Bugsnax, there's a point where, in the game where I felt like I was glitching the game into catching Bugsnax, because I was like, I feel like this isn't the way I'm supposed to do this, but this is the most effective way, right? Like, especially once I got the weird, like, there's an item in the game that you can shoot down these posts, and it's like electrifies, and it basically zaps the Bugsnax, and normally it puts them in a vulnerable state where you can capture them. And it works on most, not all. But yeah, I would basically, like, forget the method that I think they want me to do. I'm just going to see if this works, and if it works,
yeah,
you know, so yeah, it was there. Okay, so like, going to like the capturing, there was one time where I felt almost like I literally was glitching the game. Do you remember when you're in the desert and you needed to catch the weird praying mantis Bugsnax, but it was like on fire,
right?
And one of them was like on a pedestal, and I wasn't like, I still don't really remember how I did it, but you had to knock him off the pedestal. But, like, he would break your stuff. Like, I guess, I assume you used the launch pad, right? Or something?
So, no, I actually, interestingly enough, no, I did something completely different for that one.
Okay, so what did you do?
So the praying mantis, like, he was on the pedestal, but he was next to a lake. And so he was on fire. And so I walked up to him and made him mad at me, because he was one of the aggressive ones. And so if you walk up next to him and he sees you, then he chases you down. So I led him into the lake to where it put his fire out. And then after that, what did I do? You do have to knock him unconscious after that.
But there's a different one. There's one that's not near the water. It's like up, you had to like walk up a thing, and he's sitting on
with the stairs.
Yeah, with the stairs. Do you remember how you got him down? Because that was the one
think I did.
Oh, you didn't? I thought you needed that for the main storyline.
Well, they were the same type of mantis, the one that was next to the lake and the one that was up there.
Oh, so did you get the same one again? You came back and did it again on that one?
I guess so. I only remember catching him because he, after a certain amount of time, he like explodes into like 5 different Bugsnax.
Yes.
I only remember catching him whole maybe twice, and it was the same one both times.
Yeah, so one of the weird things about this game in general is like, like, I actually like it, and also it's just like, what in the world? Like, the weird results that happen from a series of events, like with the praying mantis being perfect. He's on fire, right? And you can't really do much with him. You finally get him maybe not on fire, and then you hurt him, and then he has a timer start going off.
Yeah.
And you're like, why does he have a timer? Maybe that means that's the time he's gonna get set back on fire. That's what I thought initially. And then I was getting guilt by another Bugsnax. Every time I try to set my trap, it would break my trap. Like, it was like sometimes the compounding scenarios. And essentially, yeah, like Kyle said, the Bugsnax just explodes, and then it becomes like all these other random Bugsnax. Like, and you're like, what in the world? Like, why is this praying mantis made up of like
a burrito,
Dorito, and like the little squiggly worm one, I think. Like,
some chips.
Yeah, it was very strange.
weird stuff.
But it was a cool surprise. I mean, so I mean, what were some maybe your favorite moments in capturing Bugsnax? You mentioned that one, but any other moments that were like pretty fun?
So I really liked, I guess, the way that the game introduces you to them. So like from the very beginning of the game, you really don't know what to expect from Bugsnax if you haven't like watched the videos of the gameplay or whatever online. And so like at the very beginning, you encounter a Bugsnax, but you don't really realize it because like all in their like media and stuff, they show them as being like really small, cute things. But you come to the island on a ship, and this giant like moth attacks your flying ship out of the sky, and it's screaming something. I don't remember what it says, but it's like, "Rawr!" And it attacks your ship, and you crash. And then after you crash, you see one of the smaller strawberry Bugsnax, and that's like when you see one up close. Yeah. And so then the whole tutorialization of like, oh, sometimes they live in caves, or sometimes they hide in bushes, and it's like the initial capture and like getting to know the environment, I felt like that was probably the most that was kind of my favorite part of the game, because I really love when tutorials of games are part of the story, because it was something that you needed to do, and it was also something that progressed things along, and it like I said before, the hunting mechanic, I guess you want to call it, capturing mechanic, it's all really fun, really fun to do.
Yeah, I think similarly, like I had no expectations in this game. I had no idea what I was getting into, other than it was a weird game called Bugsnax. Like literally. I did see some videos of like they ate stuff and then they would transform. So I figured it was like, oh no, and I saw a video of somebody playing it like vaguely, but it was like for some reason that seems almost like a fever dream, because it seemed like a completely different game. But anyway, the beginning sequence was actually where I was like, okay, this game might have something, because you get attacked by, and I just looked it up, Mothza. So it's probably yelling Mothza, because all of these, if you don't know Bugsnax, they all say their name like Digimon, Paltos.
Pokemon, very Pokemon-esque.
Peel Bug, like it is, and I promise you, it's the same voice actor, because I was like, it's the same dude doing like all of these. Like he got paid $12.
Shifted.
But it starts out super strong, because like you crash land, and then you run into maybe my favorite character in the game, Philbo. The very beginning, and Philbo,
self-proclaimed mayor,
is the biggest fool. Like he is a definition of the town fool, but his voice acting was so strong the gate. Like it really felt like, wow, like this game that looks like it was made on the Xbox 360, they brought in a PS5 level voice acting team, because it was so strong. The way he talked to you, just his inflection, it felt very like real to who the character would be, and his like nervousness and lack of confidence, but also kind of like overconfident. Like it was just
super naive.
Naive, but he also really cares about everybody. But the thing is, when you meet him, he needs a Bugsnax. Like he's hurt and needs food, which so you find the first Bugsnax, and they do a really good job of like making it really simple and explaining it to you, and you just get the mechanics, and it was a strong start, and I was like, okay, I'm here now. Like,
it laid down the groundwork so well. And I think if Philbo wasn't so likable, then catching that initial Bugsnax for him would have been like more difficult. But like you walk in and he's just on the ground, you don't know what happened, and he calls you somebody else. Like he's super delirious and disoriented. He's like, "Hey, buddy, I need a Bugsnax." You know what, Philbo? Man, I'm gonna get you a Bugsnax.
I got you,
bro.
Philbo. And then it's
he
like
eats it in one bite, and it's kind of horrific, but
just chomp that joint. And it's like weird, because talking like more about the Bugsnax, like I feel like they had an idea for something, but it never really came to fruition. So we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but like when you feed the characters Bugsnax, it transforms them, right?
Yeah.
But like it doesn't have any like real merit on the game or the gameplay unless the character specifically asks you to get a particular Bugsnax to do a particular thing to their body, right?
Right.
So, like, it would have been cool if you gave them certain Bugsnax and it, like, changed their movement or changed, you know, their walking.
Or even their height.
Yeah, their height or...
Yeah.
It just felt so very, very cosmetic. But it felt like, at the same time, they wanted to do something with it, but it's almost like they didn't have enough time. You know, I don't know if you felt that, Kyle, but...
I'd say so, and I'm sure we'll get into it later, but I think the ending kind of, like, I guess, explained why they felt the need to eat them, even though, like, their appearance, or I guess how it was affecting them, wasn't completely clear. I think it ties back to what you were talking about earlier about them being addicted to the Bugsnax, and so it's like, you know, we couldn't, like, there was an outside change, but like internally was really where the issue was happening. And so like being motivated to get more, so it was more like a character driven change rather than an aesthetic change. But I agree, you know, especially because, you know, the different types of Bugsnax, like the effects they had, like you could change like their nose into like a plastic straw or something. so to hear them breathing like through a plastic straw would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
But little stuff like that, I guess, you know, like they probably didn't have time or whatever.
Yeah, it would have been cool to have like, even like, you know, in the village, like when they're walking around in town, they kind of talk to each other like, hey, or, you know, like, or talk to you. It would have been cool if like they kind of mentioned somebody's change, you know, like you just heard them say like, whoa, Philbo, why are you looking so? I'm trying to be a country boy, you know, like
Wambus.
Whoa, you're looking crazy there, Philbo. You know, like it would have been cool just to see that, but once again, like, yeah, there's probably a lot of reasons, and I will say that I'm more excited for Bugsnax 2 than I should probably be, but there's a lot of reasons for that. So let's talk a little bit about like the characters, because I feel like that's the game. Like, it's hard. Like I keep thinking about it. Like, Bugsnax the game, the gameplay from moment to moment is okay. Like, it's good.
It's good, serviceable.
But like the characters, their little storylines, the different things that are happening and their motivations made me keep playing. Like I don't know about you. Did you do everybody's character storyline, like all of their everything, or did you just kind of?
So a handful of them, I went all the way through. But when I could tell that I was reaching the end, I slowed down a bit and just did the ones that were like necessary for progression.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, I did. I think I did every challenge for every character. Like I finished every person's thing. Because what ended up happening is that I would just go out and try to capture the Bugsnax that I needed. But if I was like near other Bugsnax and it would take me 5 seconds, I would just capture them. And I found that like a lot of random times I would have a Bugsnax in my inventory that somebody needed for a storyline. So, and I tried not to feed anybody if I didn't have to. I would only, there's a point where one of the characters, Gramble, is asking for you to donate Bugsnax. So I'd only donate Bugsnax that weren't new or like I hadn't given to somebody, that I had already given to somebody, because I figured any other Bugsnax was probably story dependent in some capacity.
Yeah, somebody's going to ask for it as soon as you donate it.
Yeah. And you're like, ugh. So, and then like getting my inventory started to grow. So I just have way too many Bugsnax on me.
Yeah.
So
how many did your inventory get?
Oh man. Maybe like 15. Maybe 15.
Snap.
Yeah, 15 to 20 Bugsnax or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because at one point I had like 5 Pal Toasts. Like, like I had so many of them. Like, some of them would, like, the Paltos break into multiple. So I just
Yeah.
have a lot of those. I had quite a bunch of chi poofs because I just accidentally went on a spree. And like sometimes I'd get like randomly have Pokemon. I'd have Bugsnax in my inventory that I was like, how did I get that? And like some of we didn't talk about this before we get into the characters, I guess, is that there was like boss battles.
Yeah.
And like
didn't expect it.
Yeah, like super unexpected. Like the big flying thing that breaks your ship, you have to have a boss battle with him, which took me way too long to figure out how to beat him. I don't know how how it was for you, but I could not figure out what I was supposed to do for like a solid 10 minutes.
I don't think I had that boss fight.
You didn't fight the giant pizza guy?
The big pizza moth? Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Oh, maybe it's because you didn't do...
Yeah, that was probably somebody at the end of somebody's storyline. That's where most of the boss fights were.
Yeah, it was I think it was Cromdos, the salesman guys.
Cromdo. Okay.
Yeah, because he wanted a Bugsnax that would like get him rich or something like that.
Yeah.
And he wanted a legendary Bugsnax, so you had to go to the desert and help him. Yeah, I think that was
nice.
So yeah, like that one. Did you fight the sushi monster?
Yes, I did the sushi monster.
The sushi monster.
That one was annoying to me.
Super annoying. Because he just kept, like, you just had to zap him, but he was, like, flying.
He would break the posts.
Oh, my gosh. And
he was like this flying dragon that would fly in circles around this little island. And there were these vertical posts that you could connect the trap we talked about earlier, where you could shoot a line from one point to another point and make like an electrified, I guess wire or something that reached across. But when he came around, sometimes he would crash into the post and break the post, or depending on where you were standing, like it would show you his trajectory, like the path he was going to take. But then sometimes you'd be off by just a hair, or at least I would. Yeah. So he'd just fly
right over it
and like laugh at me or something.
And was he shooting stuff at you as well? I can't remember. It was just...
Yeah. That's how he would break the post. Yeah, he would shoot these little orbs.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, and then you broke him, and then all his people would run around, and you have to chase them, and there's a time limit, and
they were fast.
And one of the interesting results of fighting one of those bosses is that you got a Bugsnax.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very specific Bugsnax that you could only get from the boss.
Yeah.
So naturally, you know what I did? I was like, I'm not doing anything with these. Like, I'm keeping these boys in my inventory. Yeah. So the Megamaki was his name.
Yeah.
The Megamaki had like 10 pieces. So my inventory had 10 Megamaki sushi.
Megamaki.
I had all the mini Makis or whatever. But it kind of worked out for me because later I needed a whole bunch of Bugsnax just to give to somebody. So I just gave away like 8 of my mini Makis,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had a glitch during that fight.
Oh, really? What happened?
So yeah, when he's in the sky, he's kind of attached, like all of his pieces follow around him. And so I broke him apart one time, and the pieces flew across, and they were running together, like the AI is super finicky. And so I caught all of the ones I could see, and he was flying around just the head by himself. So I was like, oh, this boss fight is over. And so, I knocked him down, and he would run. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And so I run up to him, and it'd say catch, but I couldn't catch him. And I was like, there's no way I'm just supposed to, run up and catch the head, right? Like, that's so anticlimactic. And so I did it 2 or 3 more times. And on one of the other times, it just so happened, I knocked him down towards like the back of the arena, I guess you want to call it, where you could fight him. And in the corner, just like jittering at 1,000 miles an hour, were 2 of his pieces that got crammed together in a corner. And so the AI was just freaking out. And I was like, is this why I've had to knock him down by himself 3 times? And so I caught one, and then the other one immediately flew back into the sky. And so I had to knock him out again. And I was like, man. And it was like 10 minutes because just hitting the little head by itself was hard to line up.
Yes, yes.
And man, I was like, you know what? I think that might be one of the reasons why after that boss fight, I was just kind of...
You were done. You're like, yeah, I'm not trying to do this no more. I'm good.
Yeah.
No, the AI for the Bugsnax was like sometimes, yeah, I got one. So in that same level, that's where the Paltos were. And inside the mountain was like a volcano-y area. And one time, and there's an animal, there's like a weird, like, pho soup.
Yeah, the
thing.
Soup, yeah, the noodles, like
the noodle guy, and he was super aggro, and he would like, and one time, I don't remember what happened. I went in there, and a Paltos followed me, or multiple Paltos, and I was doing something for one of the challenges, but I think I needed to get the soup dude, but I couldn't figure out how to get the soup dude, and all of a sudden, he went aggro and started attacking the Paltos, and then like they started fighting each other, and they all just like killed each other, and I just stood there, and there was like 10 different like Bugsnax dead and I just captured them. Like, I guess that's what I was supposed to do. Like, I don't even know what my actual goal was supposed to be, but the AI went so,
yeah,
like, I was like, okay, I'm never doing this again. You know, so
yeah, the bobsicle.
The bobsicle.
There's a random bobsicle in that lava area, and it's two popsicles stuck together, but he bops you. I guess that's why he's called the bobsicle. Anyway, so he chased me through a corridor towards the bowls, and that's how I caught one, because they're both super aggressive and they attacked each other.
It's just like it worked out. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was the story of the game sometimes. Like, just, okay, I guess that worked out. I will take that and just keep on moving.
Take those.
You know, like, I never want to do this again. And, you know, like, I think I had a lot of trouble. I don't know if you remember the Scoopy Banoopy. Like that.
Yes.
That thing, the first time I fought it, like, I got him no problem. And
really?
Yeah, like, it was just like I laid down. I don't even know what I did. That's the thing. Like, I laid down the little trip shot thing. He ran into it, and he was on fire. I don't even know. And somehow I managed to get him.
Yeah.
And then I needed him for another person's, like, personal mission. And I did, but this time it took me about 10 tries. Because the AI, like, his attack is he'd attack the trip shot.
Yeah.
And I don't know why the first time it just was friendly. I had to lure him into that cave where I think there was like another stew guy. I don't know why the stew people are always in the caves. But
I don't either.
Yeah, I lured him in there, and then they started fighting, and then I was able to like kind of trick him, and like, I don't know, the AI was just annoying enough where like it would like snap, like whatever it decided it wanted to look at now, like it would just snap to it. Like, I felt like I was fighting that a lot with the Scoopy Banoopy. That was the one I had the worst time with.
Yeah. So the Snoopy Banoopy, he's like made of like ice cream sundae parts. So he's got like a banana, an ice cream scoop, a cherry, I think.
Cherry eyes or something like that.
Yeah. So I had a similar encounter when I first saw the Snoopy Banoopy, because there's like a campfire and you can run your line over the campfire, set the line on fire, and he would charge into it. But then later in the game, Snorpy wants you to catch the Snoopy Banoopy. And so I had actually already fought one because I was on the mountain for some other reason. So I had a banana from the Snoopy Banoopy, and I was like, I wonder. And so I fed him the banana, and it gave me the accomplishment of completing the task of giving him a whole Snoopy Banoopy.
Really?
Yes. And so I don't know if that happens for each of them, but I would think so, because the Neamahi, or whatever it's called, if you gave it just one of the smaller pieces, what's her name? The singer? Wiggle.
Oh my gosh, Wiggle. Ooh.
Yeah, so if you gave her just one of the smaller pieces, I'm assuming it would count as if you gave her the head of the Meganaki.
So that's the thing, like, the game was, like so sometimes it would tell you to capture a certain thing, but really it was about feeding the person a particular thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's weird because, like, you know how there's variations of the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep calling them Pokemon. The same Bugsnax, like, there's the Sweetles, like the flying dudes. Like, that's the one that I saw, like, 90 different variations for. Like,
tons of them.
There's, like, a Sweetle, a spicy Sweetle, or whatever it was called, and it was just flying. Sweetie Fly. That's what I meant.
Sweetie
Fly. And it would just fly around. I was like, why do I even want to capture you? Like, you're just annoying. But anyway, yeah, so it wasn't clear to me if, like, if somebody wanted a Sweetie Fly, like, sometimes they'd ask, like, hey, can I get this type of, what was it, a cheesy poof or white cheesy poof or cheap poof or whatever. But sometimes they'd ask for, so I always wondered if I gave them a variation of it, would it count? Like, it was, I don't know. I get it. Like, you capture it and give them the pieces, but like, it was interesting sometimes.
I didn't expect it to work. It was just kind of, I really didn't want to go fight another Snoopy Banoopy. And so it was just, so I just gave it a try. And so I'm glad I did, because that saved me like 30 minutes.
Yeah, so okay, let's talk about the characters, because that's where we were going, and then we came back around to the bosses.
Yeah.
And we'll probably come back around to other stuff that when we think of it, but like, so okay, I mean, the big thing to me, and I think we just mentioned, is like the characters were what shined in this game. Like, I think if I were to play the game without the characters, I'd maybe give the game a 6 or a 7. But like with the characters, the storylines, what was happening, I move it up to 8.59, right?
Yeah.
I will say that, and we'll get to this maybe later, but the overall storyline, I have some issues with. So okay. So the big thing about this game is that, like, some of the like all of the, I don't know all of them, but like, if you play out their storylines, most of it is about them coming to some type of realization, right? About themselves, right? And well, let me ask you this, because I did all the characters. Like, what was your experience with what you did? Like, did you feel missing anything because you didn't get to finish some of the characters? Like, what was your experience in general?
I agree that I think that it was pretty heavy-handed as far as like character arcs are concerned. But I appreciated that they went in versus, I guess, the alternative, which is to not really have clearly defined characters or their motives. Yeah. So, if I had to choose one, I definitely would prefer the way they went about it, because you definitely knew, like, they weren't necessarily one note all the time, but they had very clear intentions and actions. And sometimes it would come across like, oh, well, this is just the mean Grumpus, and this is the
the goofy one, the strong one, the wacky one, the scientist one.
Exactly. Yeah, so that, like, check the boxes as far as archetypes. But I think once you went through their storylines, it was a little bit deeper than that, because you got to find out their motive behind why they were that way. Yeah. Versus them being that way and not really, having, this is just the way I am. So, you don't get to know why. Yeah. Because the first character they introduce you to is Beffica, I think.
Well, I guess it was Wambus after.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Wambus. Yeah.
But Beffica felt like the first one where you started doing her story line. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. I don't know. How did I skip over Wambus? Because you actually catch one of the Bugsnax for him before you meet Beffica over the ridge. Yeah. But that's kind of where you get, I guess, a little bit more, I could definitely see their archetypes. He's the stubborn farmer, but at the same time, he's got, his whole deal was that he was trying to grow things for the people that were around so they could have something to eat, because they couldn't always catch the Bugsnax. So it was like, oh, well, he's just stubborn. He's not a bad guy type of thing. And so, like, from the very beginning, they're really showing more depth than just what you see on the surface. Yeah,
yeah. And you start to see, like at first you start with Wambus, and or not that you start with Wambus, but like for Wambus, for example, Wambus is his farmer and he's trying to grow Bugsnax, but really but he can only seem to grow sauces. So like, you know, and in the whole issue, okay, so like the whole issue with the storyline is essentially like some event happened on the island, right? And everybody, okay, well, not some event. Okay, let's talk about the story a little bit, because otherwise the context of the characters don't make sense.
It's not gonna make any sense.
So essentially the story is that you're asked to come to the island by, what's her name, Lizbert Megafig, and she's an explorer, and she's like the coolest person, and like she's done all these cool things, and she wants to learn about the mystery of the Bugsnax and figure out where they come from and why they are what they are. And essentially, like, she comes there and she sets up a settlement on this island, and all these other characters come because there are different motivations which are like revealed through their storylines. But Lizbert basically takes care of the whole town. Like, because there's no food source other than the Bugsnax, that's the only food that they eat. So Lizbert goes out, she explores, but she also brings back Bugsnax for her and her, I guess her girlfriend, or I don't know if it's a wife.
Significant other. I can't tell if they actually have genders or not.
Yeah, there's, we'll get to that later, but when we talk about the characters. So what happens is Lizbert goes missing. She goes out on an adventure and she goes missing. And her significant other, Eggabell, I guess goes missing as well, or something like that.
I think she went to look for her.
Yeah, and then she never came back. And then because of that, everybody was like, yo. Oh, I'm sorry. Philbo was like, hey guys, I'm the mayor, let's stay together. And everybody's like, Philbo's an idiot, and I don't want to die here. So they all leave. And your main goal as the main character is to get all of the Grumpuses, right? That's what they're called?
Grumpuses? Yeah, the Grumpuses.
Back to town. So that's kind of the main story line. You're trying to figure out what happened to Lizbert, and you're trying to get all the Grumpuses back to town.
And you kind of have to get them back to town because the reason why you went there was to get an interview with Lizbert, but she's the only one missing. And because Philbo is useless, you need to get them to come back to town so you can ask them where Lizbert went, because he has no idea.
Yeah. He just like seemed to just flee town all of a sudden. And like and he was just dying. Like, luckily you showed up. But yeah. So yeah, that's one part. I forgot about that. Like, you have to interview all of the different Grumpuses, and the Grumpuses give you more about themselves and also what they know about Lizbert, which is kind of interesting. Like, what did you think about that whole interview process, like, of interviewing all the different Grumpuses?
I thought it was a unique mechanic, because I know a lot of games, especially when it's like community building, you do have the opportunity to learn more about people as they come to your community. And so to integrate it to where you get like a super, I guess, high level of like almost like a what is it, not like a spill of a backstory, you know, kind of all at once to bring you up to speed. So in a way it's kind of nice. I think some of them kind of overstay their welcome.
Yes.
But the ones that like really fit the character, like they don't want to talk to you, and so you have to ask certain questions to make it go along, is kind of nice. Only thing, I guess, about that part of it, though, was that you'd only have a certain amount of questions, and then most of the time, you'd be able to ask both of them, regardless of the order you went in.
Yeah.
So sometimes it felt like they wanted to be like, oh, you got to ask the right question to get the right information about them. But then, you know, you'd try to, I guess, pick the wrong answer, and there wouldn't be any consequence. And so I'd be like, oh, I guess that's fine. But
yeah, it was interesting.
Looking for unique dialogue and stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like you could get through the process without listening to all the dialogue. But there was no, like, not that there should have been a right or wrong, but that's, like you said, they made it seem like the interview was some type of gameplay, but it wasn't. It really was just like click it in order, and it'll give you all the options, you know. And
exposition dump. That's what I was thinking of earlier.
Yes. And you know what? Let me tell you something right now. Shelda, the weird guru one, I could not stand her, dog.
No, like, she was,
I could not stand it. It's like, I get that she's like this, you know, from her story, she's basically a fraud, like, if you go through her whole storyline. But the way she talks and, like, trying to deal with her, I would just skip her dialogue a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't hear you talk. The sun and the moon come together to make, like, it's like, okay, I get it. Stop.
Right.
Just stop.
I think it was successful in that way. Because I felt the same way, but I appreciated it because everybody else I really wanted to talk to, and it seemed like nobody wanted to interact with her.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was like,
except for Chandlo. Chandlo's the real hero in this game. Let's be real.
100%.
Let's be real. Like, Chandlo is the heart of gold, the man. He's super strong for whatever reason. He's super swole. Like ridiculous. He has a heart of gold. He cares about people. And he sees the best in everybody, irrelevant. And did you finish Beffica's storyline?
No, I don't think I did.
So essentially, like, Beffica, there's so many characters. I don't think we can get through all of them in this podcast. But, like, you know, so essentially, like, Beffica is a gossip journalist, like TMZ type kind of person. And her whole goal is to get, like, the snoop, you know, the secrets behind people. And
dirt. You
basically find out through her story that the reason she came to Bugsnax Island is because she basically burned all her bridges because of all of the evil snooping she did, right? And she basically gets back into her habit. It's almost like she knew what she's doing wrong, but she doesn't stop, right? So she's like, hey, check out what Wambus is doing at midnight, or check out what this person is doing. You know what I'm saying? And so eventually, she asked you to go snoop on Chandlo. Did you get to that point?
I don't think I did. But remind me, was that with the stump?
No, it was at night in his room. You had to catch him in his room. So essentially, like, she tells you to go, like, snoop on everybody, right? So the first one is like Wambus, and you found out that basically, okay, so Wambus is married to another character named Triffany. First of all, just side note, all the names in this game, it's like they took them to a random name generator.
Yes.
Like, because it's like Wambus Troubleham. I'm looking at the character list right now. Triffany Lottablog. Like, Cromdo Face. Like, it's super stupid names. Terrible.
Right.
But it is what it is. So anyway, like, Wambus is married to Triffany. Triffany and Wambus basically had, like, separated for a period of time.
Yeah, they had a fight.
Triffany left, and you find her later, but she, like, left and it's, like, in the ruins or something. She's, like, an archaeologist. Wambus is the farmer. But Beffica goes, hey, go snoop on Wambus at midnight and see what he does. Basically, you find out that Wambus made, what did he do? He made, like,
he turned a cactus.
Yes.
Like, he put his wife's hat and jacket on a cactus, and he would talk to it at night. It's super, like, sad, man.
Like, oh, snap. This man, like, and Wambus is supposed to be this hard, rough and tumble, you know.
Yeah.
And at night, he's over here talking to this cactus, who actually kind of looks like his wife. Like,
yeah.
Like, he did a pretty good job. Like, and he's over here, like, hugging it and talking, like, I miss you, Triffany. I'm so sorry for what I did. And, you know,
I'm going to make this right.
I'm going to plant these Bugsnax and change the world, you know. But, like, so she does that. She's just finding people's secrets, and you learn all this stuff. And you finally get to Chandlo. Because she's like, Chandlo, I haven't been able to find anything on him, and I need you to find something for him, right? And you go to Chandlo's room at night, and literally Chandlo's just sitting there enjoying his life. like he's not doing anything. Like, and you're like, yo, what's up, Chandlo? And Chandlo's like, hey, what's up, man? You know, yo, bro, what's happening, bro? Like, he's always saying that. And you go back to Beffica and she's like, what? Chandlo doesn't have any like evil secrets? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, she's like having a breakdown. Because she's like, that doesn't make any sense. He has to be evil. He has to do. But basically, you find out that Chandlo's just a good person. Like,
he's the realist.
The realist. Chandlo is the realist. I'm gonna make a meme like the realist. Chandlo. You know. So, but yeah, like the characters. Like, I mean, there's Snorpy, the weird, like scientist. Like, and his brother. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tread a little bit carefully because I don't really know. But from what I could tell from the episode, from the game, is that there was a lot of different like LGBTQIA characters kind of represented in the game. Am I wrong? Did you feel that too?
No, I think you're spot on. Because, yeah, there were characters who were, like, definitely shown to be more masculine or more feminine. And then some that were, you know, presented as a male versus a female. And then, yeah, the intertwining of their relationships was, yeah, it's like they covered all the bases, I guess, to show that, you know, their structure is just completely open. You know,
yeah,
as far as...
I'm gonna be super real. It felt very pandering almost. I get it. Like, let me not say pandering because I don't know what the people who made the game, like maybe it's representative of their, you know, the developers and the story writing. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it represents, but it felt, I don't want to say forced, but it felt like they were trying, like they had one of each, right?
Yeah.
They had
everyone was represented.
Yeah. Lizbert and Eggabell, both female presenting characters, female voices, female type dialogue. They're a couple. So that's like the female couple. Wambus and Triffany. Wambus is rough and tumble man, and Triffany is, hey there. Like, she's female presenting.
Soft, yeah.
You know, the normal, like standard typical heterosexual couple, right? Then you had Chandlo
and
Snorpy. And that was maybe the most interesting one because it was like they were best friends.
Right.
But like Chandlo would do anything for
bros.
His best bros, yes. He's like, he's my bro, you know? And you start to unravel that Chandlo and Snorpy are a thing. Like, and that they... Oh, I don't know if you got this far, but in the final like celebration... So did you find out like that they made out or something?
Yeah, you can't skip it. Like it's part of that dialogue for that reunion party.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like only if you finished out everybody's storyline.
No,
but it does complete everybody's I guess reunions for you too. Okay. So yeah, I wasn't sure. So yeah, so Chandlo and Snorpy, who are both male characters, and then there's do you remember
Gramble and Wiggle?
Oh my gosh. So let's talk about a relationship that is kind of unhealthy. Like,
yeah, Wiggle is kind of harassing
Gramble. Stalking.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's like, if Shelda is my least favorite character, Wiggle was fighting for that spot. Like,
really?
I could not stand Wiggle always singing everything. Yeah, like she had a decent voice, but it was like, I'm gonna eat these Bugsnax and get my body. Like, it was always so okay. I want you to describe Wiggle and Gramble's relationship. Just try to describe it.
So I remember when you first encounter them, like you're on the beach and you find Gramble. He's got like a little semi shelter because his whole deal is that he doesn't want to eat Bugsnax. Yeah. He's like a farmer type, but like a cattle farmer, I guess you can call it. Like he wants to keep the animals. or keep the Bugsnax.
Yeah, he's like vegan PETA character in the
yeah. And so he's only worried about, keeping the Bugsnax and training them. And Wiggle like followed him to his shelter and is just standing there singing, trying to get Gramble to leave, and just wanting all of his attention. Mm-hmm. And Gramble is like trying to be a nice guy about it. He's like, but you're really upsetting the Bugsnax with being so loud. Like, maybe we could do something else later or something. Like, he's trying to let Wiggle down easy, but Wiggle is like super aggressive with trying to hang out with Gramble. And that's your first encounter, and eventually they part ways so that you can do each of their individual storylines to get them to come back to town. But then once you get back to town, it's just like the switch comes back on, and Wiggle is just adamantly trying to get at Gramble, going to his house, all kind of stuff.
She was thirsty, son. Like, the thirst was on the next level. Like, Gramble would just be chilling. Like, there was a point where I was like, yo, Gramble is literally uncomfortable. Like, yeah. Like, and Gramble has that little, oh, well, I don't know. I just wanna, like, he has a very soft, like, gentle kind of character. Like, I don't want to hurt Bugsnax. And, Wiggle is all up in his face. Like, come on, baby, let's go out to the beach and have a date. Like, she's always moving, like yes, wiggling, literally.
Her idle animation is
gross. And I don't know if you got to this point where, like, you talk to Gramble privately and Gramble's like, hey, like, he's like, hey, can you like talk to Wiggle or something? Because, like, I don't know what to do. Like, she will not, like, he literally is like, I don't know what to do. And then he's like, I kind of like her. Like, she seems cool, but she won't give me the space I need to, like, right. Like, it was like a real situation. Like, hey, you're cool, but, like, you're too much, Yeah,
just dial it down just a little bit and we can talk.
Yeah, and I mean, I like Gramble's. Gramble had, to me, one of my favorite storylines because it was like in his head, he thought he was doing something very virtuous. Like, he was like, hey, let's not eat the Bugsnax, and let's save them, and let's do all this stuff, and like, hey, can you collect them and keep them from people? And he had a barn that he had for them. But, like, eventually you just realize that Gramble is dealing with separation anxiety. Like, yeah, his family left him or something, and he has no family, so his only friends are these Bugsnax.
The Bugsnax.
And and the Bugsnax literally at the end of the game just dip. Like, they just like,
oh yeah, as soon as the wall comes down, they're gone.
And Grandma's like, my family left me,
again.
And you just realize, like, oh, he's just really sad and lonely. And
yeah. And that was the, like, different dynamics you get, because at first, people were eating his Bugsnax on his farm. When Lizbert would be, like, on an adventure trying to find other Bugsnax to bring back for them to eat, people would sneak into his barn and, like, just steal that man's Bugsnax and steal his family. Yeah. And so he was like traumatized by that. But you don't find out till later that he was, like, hoarding them in a very, like, not very
healthy.
Yeah, a very unhealthy way.
And Wiggle secretly was eating his Bugsnax too. So it's kind of weird to me because I was like, I don't know if Wiggle actually cares about Gramble. Like, or she was just like, he's my source of food. Like, cause cause you, like, Beffica asked you to follow her and you find her trying to break into his house at night. And you're like, oh, like, Wiggle, like,
why?
What are you doing? So, like, their whole storyline, and then the character I think maybe is my third least favorite is Cromdo, because he just was a jerk. Like,
he is, all about himself. But I think he was meant to be someone that he doesn't want anybody to like him. Like, he's trying to be really, like, a really tough guy. Like, he says, like, I think he even says it, that he's not in the business of making friends or something like that, because he's all about making money. Yeah, but it seems like he wants friends because he still does stuff for everybody else.
Yeah, he's like the curmudgeon. He's
undercuts himself.
Oscar the Grouch, right? Like,
yeah,
he cares about everybody, but he acts like he doesn't care,
Mm-hmm.
And he literally tries to sell you a bridge, which is hilarious to me. Like, get out of my face.
Immediately falls apart.
And like, he's just, his storyline ends, but even when you do all his tasks, like, all you figure out is that, like, he's a jerk who's trying to, like, basically make money. And he realizes...
And it's kind of a front.
Yes, like, I'm just trying to make money. I know it doesn't make me friends, but this is who I am. I need to be a little bit better. And, like, actually, like, him and Beffica seem to be the most connected, like, for whatever weird reason.
Even at the end, in the end sequence, they're actually together.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Like, they secretly, like, are both really off-putting people, but they both really want relationships,
Right. They don't really know how to change.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, so one, like, the maybe the last character, like, that I really feel like is very interesting is Floofty.
Yeah.
Floofty
Fizzlebean.
And so I think and I may be wrong about this, but I think Floofty was supposed to be non-binary. Did you ever realize that?
Yeah.
In all the dialogue, they only reference Floofty as they.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that's what it... And then Floofty kind of had masculine and feminine
tendencies.
Yeah, characteristics. Yeah. And didn't... And only goal was to modify... It's almost like their body was an experiment.
It was a tool.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for Snorpy, literally would have killed it.
Like, he was about to cut his own head off.
Floofty straight up was going to kill himself, Like,
or
themselves. And, like, you're like, yo, like, and you're standing there. I was like, yo, son, this is where, as a character, you need to stop.
But no, just willfully pressing the button.
Like, all right, you want me to press the button? Like, and then Snorpy's like, bro, you need to stop. Like, stop. Like, we're family, and I love you, and you're about to kill yourself, and you need to stop this. Like, I don't know. So, yeah. I don't know. What did you think of Floofty as in general as a character?
So I thought it was cool. That overlap, I guess, of there was finally one character who had two separate connections, like very strong connections to two characters, which was Snorpy. Both having a brother and a love interest. I don't think anybody else had any, like, a deeper relationship outside of just one person they were focused on.
True, very true.
Other than, I guess, Filbo was worried about everybody, but nobody deeply.
Exactly.
But Snorpy was definitely torn because, both people that he cared about, he had no idea necessarily where he stood with either of them. But I thought, Floofty was an interesting character, but a lot of times he was used as a plot device because he was a scientist. And I guess the same thing went with Snorpy. Like, they were the smart ones building the technology. So, whenever something big happened, they were kind of at the center of it to a degree. And Floofty even more so because he kept bringing you to, like, he was in 2 of the new areas that you went to, and he blocks you off from one of them. Oddly, to a degree.
Yeah, I don't know what Floofty, like, Floofty at one point I thought was, like, the villain. Because remember, like, you encounter Floofty at the very beginning. I think when you went to the beach or something, or like,
he runs.
Yeah, and it's just like Floofty's like, my scientist experiment. So I start to think, okay, well, Floofty must be the reason that Lizbert is missing, or had something to do with it, because Floofty mentioned Eggabell, which is Eggabell and Lizbert are like super close. So I was like, yo, something's going on here. But you just basically find out that Floofty is just crazy. And
he's a mad scientist.
The mad scientist, and gives you the ability to change people's attributes at will, which was, like, interesting but unnecessary. Like,
it seemed like that was fan service.
Exactly. Like, you could go around and make a character all Frider, but it didn't change
Yeah.
anything. Like back to what we were talking about before. So
Yeah, it had no implications to the story.
So yeah, Floofty was a very interesting character. So I want to talk about one more thing before we get to the main storyline, because first I want to say is Shelda's trash. Long story short is Shelda's a fraud. Basically, her side missions are for you to get her. So if you don't know the game, Shelda acts like she's some type of guru and doesn't eat Bugsnax and eats sun juice or something.
Like a medium, I guess you would call. I don't know what.
Yeah, like a medium guru spiritualist, like like all of those words. But she's just a charlatan, a fraud. And you, as a character, the main character, realize like really quickly, like, yeah, you're not who you say you are, like for the jump. But her side missions are like, hey, I need you to collect these particular Bugsnax and put it in this box because
to sacrifice them.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, you mean to eat them? And Sheldon's like, no, I would never eat them. But you're like,
right,
you're 100% eating these Bugsnax. Like,
because then you find out as you put them in there, like her body begins to change based on the Bugsnax you put in the box.
Yes, that is so slick of them and subtle. Like they didn't like point it out. They just like you just get it. Like, oh, she's eating Bugsnax.
So good.
Yeah, it was very good. It was very good. As much as I hate that, I like that they went that direction. I just wish she would talk less. So I did want to talk about Triffany. Okay, so I wonder if this is going to go any further. So Triffany, as we were mentioning before, is Wambus's wife.
Right.
And Triffany, I thought, had one of the more interesting parts in the game because you find her in like these ancient ruins. And she's trying to figure out what happened to the people who were on the island before. And like you start to realize there's some mystery behind all of this. Like, okay, people used to live on Bugsnax Island. They had a civilization, but like their bodies weren't there anymore, or they were taken away. And
the bones you did find were picked clean.
Yeah. And you're like, okay. And then, like, there's a mention of some creature or something. And, like, so I thought, like, where they were going, like, so all of that becomes really important in the main storyline. And then her side quest is to find out about her grandmother, right? I think it was. Did you do that storyline with Triffany?
Veronica. I think I did part of it, and I don't believe I finished it.
Okay, so the storyline was essentially like Triffany's grandmother was like an explorer, probably like on the level of Lizbert, like very well known, very like crazy, doing a lot of crazy things. And the last thing that Triffany knew was that her grandmother Veronica came to Bugsnax Island sometime in the past, which is interesting. That's a whole nother thing. Like, people knew about Bugsnax Island, but Lizbert was the first one to do something. And she goes there, and your whole goal is to figure out what happened to her. So, let me tell you what you find out. Basically, you track down all of the places she's been. You're finding all this stuff. Then you find her dead body on the mountain. It's just...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, oh. Like, Triffany's like, oh, she dead. I figured that much. Okay. And then just like...
What?
Like, it's there's no revelation. There's no, like, she found some secret or she did something really cool. Or it's just like, oh, she died on the mountain. Okay.
Oh, wow. That's super anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was like I thought it was building something. And I was like, oh. It's almost like they were like, yeah, we got to get this done. We have too many...
Yeah.
Like, we can't really go too much further. It's done.
Man.
You know, so it was kind of disappointing. I was maybe the most interesting story to me. Like, oh, maybe there's something she's gonna reveal, or it's just not. She did.
It almost would have been better for them not to resolve it, like to just find her campsite or something.
Yeah. So what it was you found her campsite, and you found bones of what seemed to be a person, I believe.
Oh, yeah. So I found that campsite without doing her mission. And I still got the same dialogue that it was just bones.
Yeah, so it had to be her bones.
Yeah.
Like, because it was a Grumpus bone body. Like,
right.
But they kind of just, they didn't, I don't even know if they mentioned like, oh, this is her bones. It's like, oh, this is her campsite. She must, I just remember being like, wait, what? Like, we done here? You know, so.
That campsite really messed me up because I hadn't encountered it. And, you know, that's you finally find Eggabell on the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ran around that mountain like 6 times over looking for Eggabell once she left that first cavern. Yeah. And I went to that campsite thinking it was hers. Mm-hmm. And I kept revisiting it because I was like, maybe I just have to go through a loading zone or a trigger for her to be here. And then eventually I found the igloo and stuff.
In front of the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of where I feel like that series of events with Tiffany kind of, how do I put this? Set the tone of what I would like the story is going to be in this game. Okay. So how did you feel about the Lizbert Eggabell dynamic in watching the videos? Like, what was your take on that? Like, did you like where they were going and what they were doing with that?
So at first it seemed like it was going to be, I guess, super interesting to watch them. And then especially once like their dynamic began to shift, you know, and Eggabell's true colors started to come through. Because, you know, at first, you know, they were all happy-go-lucky and they had complementary skills. You know, Lizbert is the fearless adventurer, while Eggabell was cautious and also like a nurse. So she could make sure Lizbert stayed healthy throughout their adventures, and they helped each other, you know. So that was like a cool dynamic. But then to see that shift from, you know, Lizbert would be gone all hours of the day and come back with nothing for anybody to eat, but with a lot of wounds. And Eggabell would be like, man, I wish you would just, you know, be more careful because it's getting harder to take care of you. And then like their dynamic just shifts to where then I think, I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly how it shifted, but it got to the point to where Eggabell started to feel like less useful or something.
Yes. But basically some event happened in the town when Lizbert left, which still is like super clear to me, but basically like 2 people got hurt and Eggabell could only help one of them or something, like some event, and she felt like a failure because she couldn't do both.
Yeah. And
that was where the turn started to happen.
Yeah. And then I think she was talking about, people were talking, saying that whenever Lizbert did bring back something, she would always bring back something for Eggabell. So she was like noticeably playing favorites while they were having trouble finding food. And, you know, and then I remember part of the story was because of what happened, Eggabell feeling like a failure, she went and got with our boy Chandlo, and he was helping her get them gains. Like they were doing push-ups or something in one of the videos.
Yeah. And I think one part of that was, like you said, she would bring back food for Eggabell.
Mm-hmm.
And because Eggabell had that moment of kind of depression, she went into like addiction mode.
Yeah.
With like the Bugsnax. Like she would eat all the Bugsnax and like do nothing else.
Right.
And Lizbert was kind of concerned, and Eggabell, feeling useless, feeling like bottom of the barrel, I feel like she went to Chandlo to get out of that place. Right? Like, I need to become strong so I don't have this addiction. I'm not dependent on Lizbert. That's kind of where she was going. Like,
yeah,
I have this addiction and I'm dependent on Lizbert and I can't do anything. So let me get strong. And Chandler's old swole self started helping Eggabell to become like strong and like you said, training her. And so that was an interesting, like, and that's the thing, like, at first I thought that the videos would be more about the story of the island.
Right.
But it became more of a story about their relationship.
Yeah, because after Eggabell started to take initiative, Lizbert was kind of really downplaying everything that Eggabell was trying to do, making her even more like depressed, like I'm doing this for you, and Lizbert was just concerned that she would get hurt because she was so fragile, I guess. But yeah, and it kind of did, I guess, play into like Elizabeth's kind of the dynamic of where her adventure was taking her, but Eggabell kind of just hijacked it.
Yeah, and it kind of showed that like there was almost a power dynamic in their relationship that Lizbert didn't want to change. Like, she wanted to be basically head of household and Eggabell to be her little missus. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it felt like Eggabell after that incident was like, no, I need to pull my weight. And Lizbert's like, no, you just need to chill out.
Yeah.
I got this. I'm wear the pants of, the relationship.
I'm going to take care of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Lizbert goes in the adventure, and then she disappears, and then that basically sends Eggabell off the edge because she's like, see, this is why I need to get strong. And then she goes looking for Lizbert.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And one of the last videos you find, I don't know if you find it on the mountain, but it's of them together, like right before the event happens, where Eggabell convinces Elizabeth to let her tag along.
Yeah.
And so then when you find Eggabell, she's like, it's all my fault. If I wouldn't have come along, we wouldn't have gotten separated, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like in the mix, so one like side note, like they kind of remember. Okay. So this was the weirdest thing to me because I get what they were trying to do, but they never really made it. Like, I felt like they were going a cool direction. Remember that scene where essentially it was at night and somebody, like, there was a creature broke into the village.
Yes.
Right? And they made it like, I was like, yo, where's this going? Because it got really interesting. So, long story short is like one night, what happened? Like, somebody was screaming or...
So you're at the campfire and you hear something like run into the bathroom, like their outhouse. And so you walk over there and check it and there's nothing in there. But then I can't remember if it's the same night or the next night. But then while you're at like the outhouse or whatever, there's a huge explosion near the workshop. And you go over there and there's a huge hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're expecting to find this monster, and it's Chandlo.
Yeah, but Chandlo later says that he didn't do that.
Oh, really?
Like that.
I didn't remember that.
Like Chandlo's like, oh no, I didn't do that. Like, I can't remember. I gotta go back and look, but it's like,
yeah,
because remember they also find a sign that says like, the sign is now like the sign to
to stop eating them or something.
Yeah, like it's some kind of warning. Like, we gonna kill you if you keep doing this.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it starts to put this like ominous like thing like, oh, like there's something out here. Like, and then it might have been Shelda. No, it was Wiggle who's like, yeah, the woman of the woods or something like that. She's like talking about, or the queen of the island who she saw or something, who looked like some kind of creature.
Oh, yeah.
Who was, and so there's some other creature that is out there, basically like a Sasquatch or something. Like, there's something out there doing something. So you're like, okay, well, maybe there's some spirit of the island that doesn't like that they're eating the Bugsnax, right?
They really played it up. Yeah, I forgot about it. I guess it almost felt like a dream sequence because it just came and went. Man.
Yeah, it's like very, very strange.
Yeah. And then the story just kept moving along.
It's like, yep. And you're like, oh, okay, awesome. And yeah, like, you don't, like, you get the reveal of what that was, kind of. But it doesn't seem like important at all.
No.
Like,
and like the message was kind of mixed, I guess. Because it seemed like
Yeah,
it was out to get them rather than warn them about something else.
Exactly. So do you want to explain a little bit the sequence? So I'll preface it and then maybe you could take it further. So Kyle was talking about earlier where you run into Eggabell on the mountain, and Eggabell's like, "Hey, I found some, like, we have, like, you've been finding Elizabeth's notes, right?
Yeah.
And they've been telling you, like, oh, there's a door and you need multiple grumpuses to open it, and there's a certain sequence, but it looks like you need to feed the ancient ones, and, like, there's these statues. So there's this mysterious door, but it has, like, a certain combination to open. And Eggabell's basically trying to figure it out after Elizabeth goes missing. And you found out a lot of it, but you need a third person, so you have to get Filbo to help you to open this door. So essentially, at some point, you open the door and things start to go wild. So do you remember kind of what the flow was after that? Something like that. I think it was like that, right? You open the door and things go wild. I can't.
So, I mean, that's like when, yeah, so there's two times, I guess, where the door kind of goes wild in a way. Because the first time you try to open the door, she gets the sequence wrong, and it causes like an avalanche. I think Filbo like almost dies, and so then she becomes like a recluse again while she tries to figure out, you know, what to do with the door. And there's a couple things you have to do like in between that. But then, yeah, once you revisit the door, she's like, "Oh, I just had the combination backwards," and so then the door opens up.
Stupid.
Yeah. So the door opens back up and you run in, and then, yeah, the floor opens up. Because when you open the door, it's like this big tunnel that looks like it's going to lead into like this really, I don't know, nice mountain castle or whatever. But yeah, the ground opens up and you fall into like the inside of the mountain.
Yeah.
And like this is like end of the game stuff in case anyone doesn't want to listen.
Yeah.
So you fall into the mountain, and the walls, everything around you is just made out of food. Like, it's not necessarily Bugsnax, but it's like
it's food items.
Yeah. So candy and like hamburgers, everything, pretty much everything that the Bugsnax are made out of. That's what the interior is. But it's also like organic looking and like wet. Like, it looks like intestines made out of food. And like,
so just a side note, apparently that is called the Undersnax.
Undersnax.
Interesting, just to say. But continue.
Yeah, that's a good name. And so what happened when you fell is that you got separated from Filbo and Eggabell, because it was just the three of you. So what kind of led up to it is that Filbo, you needed 3 people to open the door. So he went back to town and got Filbo. So that's why he's here now on the mountain with you and Eggabell. And so when the ground opens up, you all fall through and somehow get separated in, you know, in cinematic fashion. And so you're walking through, but then as you do, there's something called, you find out later, but it's like this amalgamous, a bunch of Bugsnax kind of put together in this like hideous giant monster form. And I can't remember if like when you wake up it's standing over you or whatever, but it runs off. And so you're trying to avoid it while you're walking through the corridors of like these organs or in the Undersnax. And so you eventually meet up with Filbo. And did you encounter the jump scare that happens after you meet Filbo?
The jump scare?
Yeah. So when you meet Filbo, you find him in like this corridor, and there's a way out, but then it eventually splits. And Filbo takes the path on the right. I think the path on the left leads you, either it circles around or it leads you back to somewhere you were before that you're not supposed to go again. But as you walk down there's a shadowy figure that walks from around a corner, and it stands there, and you could either, I'm assuming it's meant to keep you from coming down that way, but you can either approach it or walk back the other way. So if you walk towards it, it eventually starts to move, and then as you get closer, it gets into action, and it just runs like full speed at you.
Really?
Yeah. And
I don't think I experienced that.
I did, and then I stopped picking other other routes because I was like,
yep, following Philbo. Yep, Philbo. Yep, where we going?
Because I thought maybe I could interact with it because it looked like it was a bug snack, but it was like kind of monstrous. So I was just curious, and I don't do horror games at all, and so that was enough for me. But yeah, so it runs at you, and you like essentially die and wake up back at the place you were with Philbo, and it kind of restarts that sequence. So anyway, if you go the route you're supposed to go, then you eventually go into like this big open area with Philbo. And if you want to you remember the story from here, Brad?
Yeah. So just a background on what had happened preceding all of this. So you find Eggabell, right? Before you go in this chamber, you find Eggabell. She says, bring Philbo, but she goes away, right? You're supposed to get Philbo to come up there. And Philbo, you bring up Eggabell. You try to do the sequence. It fails. You go back to town. Eggabell's doing whatever. Then remember there was like an earthquake or something that happened in town?
Oh, yeah.
Like just like, I think it was the night of the party or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like the big party where all the characters are getting their resolutions. Like some earthquake happens and all the whole town is like destroyed.
Yeah.
Right? And in the midst of the wake of the earthquake is when Eggabell appears. Like she appears and it's like, hey, I figured out the sequence to the doors. We need to go and deal with this.
Yeah.
Like this is going to solve the earthquake. So that's just preceding everything. So basically when you leave, I think Snorpy and maybe Floofty are like trying to repair the ship that you crashed in originally. Because it's in town, just not working or something. They say, oh, we're going to try to fix it or something like that. If that sounds correct,
mm-hmm.
Kyle?
Yeah, because it's the ship that's on the roof or on top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought it was your ship, but I think it's actually Crimdo's ship.
No, I think it's your ship.
It is?
I think it's yours. Yeah, I think it's the one that you crashed in on. Or you fell off of when it crashed.
Yeah. I wasn't certain.
And so you leave, and that's what's happening in town. I say that because that's important on what comes next.
Yeah.
So at this point, you've followed Philbo, and you come into this room, like basically this giant room
mm-hmm.
where all these bugs, like, okay, how do you describe it? Like, it's almost like a throne room.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, it's almost like a throne room. And essentially, on the left and the right side,
it's like arena seating.
Yeah, arena seating with all these Bugsnax sitting there kind of like, almost like just waiting for something.
Mm-hmm.
Like cheering, like it's supposed to be some event. So you're just kind of walking forward, and that creature that Kyle mentioned before that jump scared him has now like, it's just standing there. What's it? I can't remember what they called it. Snack Squatch or something like that.
Yeah, it's like Sasquatch made out of Bugsnax.
So it's like a amalgamation of all these Bugsnax to become
it's like humanoid.
Humanoid, yes.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Off-putting.
Sorry, but basically like it's like, to me, I'll just say this before I continue. It was very weird because it felt like they were trying to do something with that character.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was supposed to be like, maybe you should have saw it more often or interacted with it or seen its silhouette. But it just seemed like, hey, I'm here now and I'm not a threat. Like
yeah.
Like it was very strange. It was very strange. Weird. And so anywho, like Snack Squatch, yeah, definitely is his name, Snack Squatch. So you see Snack Squatch just standing there, and you're walking in between the cheering Bugsnax. Oh, side point, I made sure I took pictures of all those Bugsnax.
Me too.
I was like, there's probably a Bugsnax I haven't seen yet in here.
Yeah,
and I want to get it in my Bugapedia or whatever. So I took pictures. I made sure I checked everything. So anyway, so you just walk up, and as you approach, there's like a throne. Is it like a throne or something?
I don't remember there actually being a seat, but it was just like a pile of
maybe
Bugsnax.
food.
Yeah, like
or something. You know, I'll try to look up what the throne room looked like. But anyway, you walk up, and you see the Bugsnax, the snack squatch, and he's just standing there, like, "What up, bro?" And you walk up, and then all of a sudden, that big mass of whatever was in front of you, just like starts moving, and it becomes this big monster-looking thing.
It looks like it's going to be another boss fight.
Yeah, like 100%. You're like, okay, this is about to be a boss fight. You know, it's about to be wild. And it kind of reveals itself, like it has a long neck kind of thing.
Like a dragon neck.
Dragon kind of neck. And at the end of the neck is our friendly neighborhood Lizbert. Like, but it's not Lizbert in her old form. It's like a Lizbert in a Bugsnax form.
Yeah. Like her skin is Bugsnax. And her like nose and horns and teeth swap between Bugsnax like randomly. Like she's become one with whatever it was.
Whatever she is. So basically you're like, yo, she's become basically
queen.
A monster. Like and essentially, and correct me, it's a little bit confusing, but essentially it's revealed to you that the Bugsnax are the island. Like, they are literally the island.
Yeah, she says that,
And they're sentient, kind of. And their goal is to basically assimilate everything, like, to them.
Yeah.
Right?
So like, she said that they were parasites.
Yeah, they're parasites. That's what it was. And they're basically like monsters. Like they're literally like the worst thing. Like they're aliens. They're the enemy.
They want to be consumed.
Yes. And I guess if you consume them, you start to become them and they can absorb you into the island or something. And Snack Squatch is like does the bidding of the hive mind. Yeah. That is the island. Right?
Right.
So basically what happened was that's what it was. There was an earthquake at the very beginning of the game when you arrived. And that's why everybody was like jacked up a little bit and why things were going crazy or something. Because I think Lizbert must have fallen into the island. Yeah. And, right? That seems about right.
Yeah, because that's what happened when they were traveling. Yeah, because she said that she fell. Eggabell said that, there was something disturbed the mountain. She fell, and when Elizabeth went to catch her, like, that's when... But I think there was another earthquake before.
Yeah, so she fell into the mountain, and essentially she figured out the truth, and she assimilated with the island, and essentially was taking control to protect everybody?
Yeah, it seemed like that was what she was trying to do, but I guess she said she couldn't leave. What it was.
But what she was trying to do is now she had control of the Snacks monster, Snack Squatch, and was trying to use Snack Squatch to scare everybody off the island. So and that's why she wrote the thing in the sign, like, you need to leave and blah 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 blah,
breaking their stuff.
Her whole goal was to like get them to leave because she was like, I can't control this thing forever, and I'm losing my ability to control the motivation of the island to basically kill everybody.
Right, yeah.
So
she said what happened to her is once she fell into the pit, she said they were climbing into her mouth. Like, yes. Like she didn't choose to eat them while she was down. Like she saw them crazy. In their purest form, what their intentions were.
And they just absorbed her.
Yeah.
Which I think is super cool. Like, I wish in a way we could have seen that moment, but I guess it'd probably be hard to show. But
that would have been horrifying.
Monstrous, right?
Yeah.
So these things are essentially evil by design, and maybe evil is the wrong word, but that's their way of, they're parasitic. And so one random thing is you get to interview her one last time. Like, And that's how you learn a little bit of this information, and you learn about her and what happened. And you get the interview that you were looking for as a journalist, because you're like a journalist, right? So long story short is like she's like, hey, you guys need to leave. I'll hold them off, but you got to get off the island. The island's going to consume you, blah, 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 blah. I can only do so much. And Eggabell's like, yo, let me help you. And she's like, you can't help me. Like, I got to do this by myself. And I can't remember. What did Eggabell do?
So
what happened?
So when you first get into the chamber, it's just you and Philbo. You have no idea where Eggabell is.
That's right.
And then as you're talking to Lizbert, Eggabell falls through the ceiling in like the most random way. And they still didn't explain like how she knew which part of the ceiling to fall through. But anyway, maybe Lizbert has something to do with it since she controlled the island. But Eggabell was, she was like, let me help you. And then just proceeded to run around to the backside of the mountain of snack that Lizbert had become.
Yeah.
And then you see another tentacle just like whip around, and Eggabell is attached to it in the same way that Lizbert is. So now they're both part of the same snack monster. And Lizbert's just like, oh,
hey, I didn't want you to do that, but hey, I guess this is cool. Like, it's almost like Eggabell stuffed herself into the monster's booty.
Right.
And like like a suppository. It became one with the creature. Yeah. Like, what in the world? Like, they really tried not to. Because I just was like, I know she did something.
She did something back there.
But you don't.
And it happened quick, you know.
Really quick. So, essentially at this point, they're both. So, Eggabell's mindset was, hey, if I join you, then we both can use our mind power to fight the island's intentions. Right?
Yeah, and she said that she wasn't going to leave her again.
Mm-hmm.
So
but they also like mentioned that they were going to escape with you. Like, they were like, hey, we'll hold them off or something. Like, to me, that's what I got. I don't know if that's what you heard, but I heard like, oh, we're going to hold them off and then we'll join you or something. Because
yeah, there was like hope, I guess, in what they did say. But yeah, it was more or less like, we're going to make it to where you guys can escape. And then if we can leave, then we'll leave. But if not, at least we're together type of thing.
So at this point, you're basically like, Philbo's like, all right, we need to go back to town and like get out of here. Tell everybody to get out of here. They should be fixing. No. I'm wrong. The ship fixing part doesn't happen yet. I think
it's happening this whole time.
But it's almost done. But it's not done.
Right.
I can't remember. But anywho, somehow you get back. Like, I don't know if they spit you out or what, but somehow you get back to Snacksburg, like through your original entry point or something.
Yeah, I think you get thrown over there because you start off at the top of the mountain and you have to work your way down into Snacksburg. But yeah, you do like fast travel over there in some capacity.
And then you appear at the top where the ship was. Because the next sequence is you going through. So basically, I think Snorpy or somebody or Floofty is like, hey, like the ship is almost ready to go, but everybody's in town and they need help. So go help them.
Right. Help everybody escape.
So this is where I guess this differs for my experience and your experience. So you said that you couldn't. So essentially, just to explain the sequence, you have to go do these like mini battles to save everybody in town to get them back to the ship. So it sounds like from what you told me, not everybody got saved in your.
Yeah, in my playthrough, I lost 2 Grumpuses.
Who did you lose?
So the first one I lost was Snorpy.
Really?
And I lost Snorpy because of the mini game that you have to do, because it was inconsistent. First off, like when you're going to save them, what they do whenever a Bugsnax approaches them. some of them would knock them away, while others would eat them. And so I found out that if they ate too many, then that's when they would die at the end. Because when Snorpy died, I was confused. But then when the second one died, I'll tell you in a sec, it made more sense. Because I was failing the mini game like terribly. And he was just downing, like, I think there were the cookie Bugsnax. And so it got to the point, his whole body had changed. He'd become like a cookie monster. No pun intended, I guess. And so he was like, oh, they've got me. I guess this is the end. And I was like, what are you talking about? We just finished the sequence. And then he like melted. And Chandler was like, bro, and ran off.
What?
Yeah. It was.
So did you lose Chandler as well?
No. Chandler ran to the ship. But it was heart-wrenching. Because I think they made it to where you can't lose both of them. Because at first, both Chandler and Snorpy were eating the cookies. Because I was pretty much missing all of them. Because I never really understood how that mechanic
What was
worked.
that mini game? What was the mini game?
So you have to use the tether tool and make lines across the side of the mountain as they were climbing down.
Wire.
Yeah, the tripwire, yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I hadn't figured out like the whole game was how to get the tripwire to like really function properly on walls. And so I could never find a spot to like put it on and then make it and put it in the right spot. So they pretty much ate all of the all the Bugsnax from that sequence because I was fighting the controls. And afterwards, it finally clicked what I was supposed to do. And I was like, well, I guess it's too late now. And so what happened was Snorpy was eating a bunch of them. And Chandler was too at first. But then once Snorpy had like filled up, then I noticed that only Snorpy would eat them and Chandler would knock them away. So I think at least you can't lose like all of them. Like one of them have to survive.
Interesting.
This is what I pulled from what started happening. Because I was trying to take in, what was really going on. Like why it mattered if they ate them. And so seeing Snorpy transform in front of my eyes kind of... And so then I got to the next part. And it was, or maybe two parts after, I don't remember. But it was the one with Gramble and Beffica. And I don't think I finished Beffica's storyline. But I did feed her enough to where her whole body was changed from the Bugsnax. Like down to her skin texture. And so during their sequence, she ate like 2 Bugsnax. And I saw Gramble start to knock them away. And I was like, I've already lost. And so I did my best to stop them from coming. It was cheap. It was the flying one, so you had to shoot them. So I missed quite a few of them.
Yeah. And
so then, once the sequence was over, it confirmed my suspicion because she was already transformed. So I knew that if she ate any, it was over. And so then afterwards, she was like, "Well, I guess I'm one with the island now," or something like that. And since their connection wasn't like super strong, I don't think Gramble even acknowledged the fact that she died. Like I think he just ran off. But and so I didn't lose anybody else, but it was those 2.
Interesting. So I have a feeling that it is based on the storylines you complete because so I did well on the cookie one. Pretty much I did well on all of them up to the one with Beffica. Mm-hmm. And Beffica would just knock them away. Like she didn't eat none of anytime a cookie or anything came to any of the guys, they would just knock them away. Oh. And I was telling Shailene was actually watching me do the sequence, and I was like, "Oh, what's the point of me even doing this? Like, I can just let them kill all of them for me, Wow. So, I guess because I finished all their storylines, they were never going to die, or something.
Wow.
Because, I mean, I did decently well on all of them, but I never felt at risk, I guess. I explicitly remember saying to Shailene, "Oh, this is kind of dumb that there's no risk involved."
Wow.
Maybe it's just, and I was like, maybe it's just for kids. Wow.
So they kind of staked that you wouldn't finish the storyline, like on some part of the ending sequence. I guess the heaviness of it is dependent on how much you invest into the game initially.
Yeah. And I guess you probably could have saved them all if, you played it right. But it almost guaranteed that you wouldn't lose anybody if you played their storylines through.
To the full, yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, well, so that's interesting because as you were talking, I was just looking at the story real quick, and I didn't realize this. So okay. So let's just talk about the ending sequence of what happens. So after that fight, essentially all the remaining Grumpuses get on the ship and you fly away and you see Eggabell and Lizbert kind of just on the island as things are blowing up. And,
like fighting off the rest of the Bugsnax.
And like I think one of the flying ones tries to attack you or something.
Yeah.
And you like I guess the ship gets damaged and you crash land on some island or somewhere else.
Yeah, it looks like you made it back to the city.
You made it back to the city. And so I'm assuming you had the same sequence where you just walk through all the Grumpuses.
Yeah, on the beach.
And you just talk to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently the only difference between that sequence, I think I'm trying to find the way that they worded it here in this wiki article, but it was like the semi-bad ending or something. Oh, you're leading to a benign bad ending. So essentially the difference for us in that standpoint would be you don't have all the Grumpuses on the island, on the beach.
Between that, yeah, and then their voice lines change depending on who's missing.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did Chandlo say?
Something along the lines of he doesn't know like how he's gonna make it without his bro, or something like that. Yeah, something super super sad. And Cromdo didn't even acknowledge Beffica because they weren't a thing. So
he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm about to get this money."
Yeah, where that paper at?
So yeah, I mean, everybody was just positive, like, yeah, we made it, da 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 da. And then essentially what happens is you go back to your office, which you started in, because the whole premise behind the game is that you're a journalist and your editor, whoever, tells you to go and get an exclusive interview with Lizbert, right?
So something interesting about that is, so I started the game over a couple days ago, and the Mandela effect, like 100% happened to me. Where I thought, effect. Yeah, so I guess this is the effect when you think someone said something or something happened, but then you go back to revisit it and it was slightly different than what you remember. Because I remembered that how you just described it, that, you know, your editor sent you on the mission to go do it. But what actually happens is you come to them with the idea and they're like, is this one of your, you know,
yeah, you're right,
dumb ideas? Right. Like, you keep doing this, you know, I'm not going to keep funding these crazy, like, you remember what happened last time you tried to go off and do something, and it's like, you keep telling them, well, I'm just going to go do it, essentially. And they're like, well, either come back with a good story or don't come back at all.
Or you're fired. Yeah, now that makes sense. Wow, Mandela effect in full effect.
Full.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely thought it was a sign, but now that you recall it. But once again, like, I'll be honest, at the beginning of the game, the first time we played it, I was half paying attention. Like, I was like, what is happening? Just get me to Bugsnax Island. This is all throwaway. Not realizing they were going to actually have a genuine story. I honestly just thought it was premise building. So you get back, you go to the office, you're with Philbo now, and I can't remember exactly what happens, but basically, like, you tell, hey, we have the story, we have the scoop, and they're like, the lady behind the desk. Let me see if I can find. Her name was Clumby.
Clumby, wow. Yeah,
that's the stupidest name. Basically fires you. Like, hey, it doesn't matter. Like,
she says you lost your job the moment you left this office.
Like, you're like, dang, and like something insinuating that like you died or something, like that they thought you died and like you're legally dead or something, and you know you probably need to fix that. And then like you're like, okay, and she didn't, but you're fired. Like, you didn't get your job back.
Right.
And then you're like, okay. And then Philbo's like, well, hey, help me run for mayor, which I thought was hilarious.
He's like, still wearing his mayor sash.
Still wearing his mayor sash. Like, Philbo's, he's the realist. Next, like, it's like Chandlo is the realist, and then like Philbo.
Yeah.
And so you like accept to help him. So this is the part that I didn't realize was different. So you didn't get the secret ending, it sounds like.
See, no. If there was something after that, no, I didn't.
Yeah, so they do the credits. So after the credits, just assuming this, I didn't realize I perfected the game.
Nice.
Considering how I played the game. But so what happens is now you have Clumby, his boss, talking to a mysterious voice and basically saying stuff like, oh, they're unaware. It's like they're saying, oh, they must not know the truth of Bugsnax Islands. Wait, let me see. It says, the deeply voiced party ponders if the player in Filbo were truly ignorant as to the presence of Bugsnax, or if they were simply lying to keep the truth hidden. So like there's some voice saying like, hey, maybe they don't know the truth behind the Bugsnax. Like maybe they don't know what's going on.
Because you didn't lose anybody, I guess.
Yeah, and so Clumby is like, yeah, I don't think they do. Blah 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 blah.
What?
And then the voice is like, hey, keep your eye on them. Keep your eye on them to make sure something. In this part, I didn't know, but now I'm reading this article.
Mm-hmm.
Not the article, but the wiki. But they said something in Latin, which was completely throwaway to me.
Come on.
They say tu quid eres is what the mysterious voice says. Apparently that translates, you are what you eat. And then Clumby says, omne vivum ex Bugsnax. And that translates to, all life comes from Bugsnax.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, so there's some deep, I didn't even realize this. I just thought it was like, haha, that was where I was like, oh, there's going to be a Bugsnax 2.
Bugsnax 2, baby.
Well, let me ask you this. When you finished the game, did you see that a Strabby survived?
Where?
On the ship?
No.
So after that sequence, it fades out and then it fades back to the beach where you landed, and then you just see the wreckage of the airship.
Uh-huh.
And then you see a Strabby come out like, Strabby, boop, 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 and it just jumps out of the wreckage.
Oh,
and
no.
And it starts running, I guess, toward
the city.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, oh, there must be a Bugsnax 2. And
yo, this took a whole Jurassic Park turn.
Yo, son, we're about to go, Bugsnax 2 is about to be end world, end game level.
Snap.
I'm now even more interested. I'm like,
wow.
I didn't realize. I just thought they were just talking in general, da 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 da. I didn't realize, you are what you eat. All life comes from Bugsnax. But there was a moment when you're talking to Triffany where she's mentioning, it's very strange. She's just talking about the origin of the people who are on Bugsnax Islands and why some of them, they weren't getting killed. It was some weird thing. I'd have to go back and look, but it was she was mentioning how it was strange how certain events had occurred in the past where their bodies were being taken, but the bones were left.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. So she was kind of saying but where did they come from? So maybe that's what they were alluding to.
Wow. So deep,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And one last thing, apparently in this article, that it's assumed that Clumby and that dark voice are, guess what? The Grumpanati. Which is hilarious. And just for those who are listening who haven't played the game, essentially Snorpy, who's the scientist character, is also super duper paranoid.
Yeah.
And is always talking about how the Grumpanati's trying to find them, and the Grumpanati's going to kill them, and the Grumpanati's going to do this, the Grumpanati this, which is supposed to be the Illuminati.
Yeah.
And eventually you can, in the storyline, if you finish it with Snorpy, you basically, convince, I think, Snorpy that, the Illuminati or the Grumpanati is not a thing.
Yeah, they're not real.
That you should just live your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think we basically figure that out. Basically, Snorpy was right. And,
that's crazy.
Or something like that. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So deep.
So it seems like there's a deep storyline. I was about to end this conversation and be like, yo, the storyline was throwaway. Because I thought the ending was super stupid. They became Bugsnax and saved the day, and you got fired, and no, he's gonna run for mayor, I guess, whatever. Oh, and then a Strabby appeared. But yeah,
so you really have to get like the full ending. Yeah, so for all intents and purposes, then I did get the bad ending because I had no idea about anything to come. So that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm happy that I guess I 100% the storyline for all the stupid characters.
Completionist.
Like I didn't feel like I got anything for it, so I was like, I guess it was just a waste of my time. I didn't even get like an achievement that I realized, like perfect ending or something like that. Nice. Maybe I didn't. I didn't maybe realize it, but yeah, man. So
wow.
I guess so. Let me ask you this: Are you excited for Bugsnax 2?
Oh yeah, man, I'm mad hype. After playing Bugsnax 1, if they channel that same energy, I'm into it. It had its drawbacks, as every game does, but I will still recommend Bugsnax to anybody.
Yeah. I think I number one, as I clearly stated, I'm excited for Bugsnax 2. I think the reason I'm excited was not even because of all of what was said here and like us figuring out more about the story, but I was like, hey, this was their first go at something completely new, and it felt so original, so like it came from their heart. Like I really felt like it came from their heart.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm just really interested in games and media in any realm that's trying to do something new and is taking chances and like does it well. Like I felt like the characters, the voice lines, their backgrounds, like they really did something cool. And I'm like, just imagine, because this game was successful from what I understand, because it was free on the PS5, but it, continue, like I think it got great ratings and people were really interested in it. So Bugsnax 2 is coming. And I think that Sony or whoever, like, I mean, I don't think it was developed or published by Sony, but like clearly they had some type of partnership to get it for free on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
I think they're going to support it, and they're going to have more funding, they're going to have more time, and they're going to be able to do the stuff that I think they were trying to do, but didn't have all the resources to do. So,
at least an expansion is coming. So at least an expansion is coming. Like they're going to continue this. I could imagine. I'd be hard pressed to find out they're not going to continue this story in some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, they set up the groundwork, like without knowing if the second game was like the first game was going to be successful. They clearly already have a plan to some degree, and I think if they do it right, like you said, I think it's going to be super interesting. And just imagine if the gameplay gets better, like which to me is the weakest part of the game. If they find a way to really make it more fun, less glitchy, have more connection to the characters in the game, it could really be something like next level.
For sure.
Really next level.
Because it's almost there to be like it's just side content feeling enough to where it doesn't detract from the game, but it's not involved enough to where it feels like it should be part of the game either.
Yeah, it almost feels like you could have substituted any game mechanic, like in just use the same results. Like, oh, Bugsnax do this, Bugsnax have, you don't even have to say capture them. Maybe you just fight them. Maybe you just, I don't know, like lure them to the village. Who knows what the mechanic could have been, anything. But now I think it's going to be interesting now that the Bugsnax are not going to be on the island. But it sounds like Bugsnax are everything. Like we are born from Bugsnax.
To be consumed by them again. Like Bugsnax are matter.
Yeah, and you know what? Floofty was even talking about. He's like, it's so strange that like when you eat them, like that it doesn't change your DNA. Like it changes you, but you're still you.
Yeah.
Like you can, and so
Floofty was temporary. Kind of
yeah. Like it's not. So it must be fundamentally not altering you in, like you're still yourself. And you can regenerate. I mean, Floofty was about to figure something else out, but
he was,
like, hey, chop your head off, you're immortal. Clearly, that's not true. But
about to find out. The only way to know is to test the theory.
Today. You're gonna learn today.
Chop my head off.
So it's I don't know. I'm excited about Bugsnax. I think, for those who, if you made it this far through this podcast, like 100%, if you've never played it, I think it's worth your time because, we're trying to summarize, I don't know, many hours of gameplay, maybe 10 to 12.
Yeah, 15 max if you like go for everything, like capturing all the Bugsnax and stuff.
Yeah, and if somebody does that, you deserve props. If you captured all the Bugsnax, if you really 100% of the game, please let me know in the comments because you deserve something. You deserve at least a high five.
A round of applause.
If you catch every version of Sweetie Fly, you deserve something.
We might need to have a talk.
Yes, a talk. Maybe get you the same reward you get in Zelda Breath of the Wild for 100%ing it. So, you deserve
Korok seeds.
You deserve it. You deserve it. Yeah, man. I'm happy we finally were able to have this Bugsnax conversation. I know we were talking about it forever.
Yeah.
What I hope we can do is like find more games like this, more kind of like, not AAA, maybe AA kind of level games, ones that clearly have quality, play through them and have discussions like this because I'm really happy we did because now I'm like super pumped for Bugsnax 2. I'm like, yo, like,
yeah.
So
these smaller, these bite-sized experiences.
Yeah, and then just talk it through and get deep and share our opinions and our thoughts and, feel it out. So, yeah, man, any last remarks on Bugsnax before we wrap it up for this here combo?
There was one thing. I'm trying not to take too much time with this one, but Gramble, whenever you do find out what he's doing at night on the Beffica, like the snooping missions, do you remember what happened?
Was he just sleepwalking?
He was. So the first time you catch him, right, you just talk to him and then you go tell Beffica. But have you encountered him again after that?
Yeah, I woke him up one time, and that didn't go super well. You just kind of was like freaked out. What happened? Maybe I missed that.
So you have two options. The first option is to wake him up. The second is to feed him a bug snack.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. I thought the only option I remember seeing was leave him alone or like not,
Yeah, so you can cancel out of it. You can wake him up or you can feed him a bug snack. And you can only feed him, I think, the one bug snack each night. And when you feed him, he still stays asleep.
Huh.
Yeah, and so I did it for a couple of nights in a row. And then eventually it triggered an event where he was talking to either Wambus or Wiggle, I don't remember. But he was like, I don't know what's happening. I wake up in the morning and I've eaten a bug snack. I can't imagine eating my babies or something like that. And I was like, oh no, what have I done?
Yo, that's wild. I did not know that was an option.
It was crazy, man. Like,
Snap, you literally like destroyed his fundamental
everything.
Like, just like, what do you call it? Like ethics.
Yeah.
Force fed him
while he was sleeping. Yeah.
While he was sleeping. So he transformed?
He did. Yeah. That's how he knew. Because he had the attributes the next day. But then he would still sleepwalk every night and it gave me the option. So I did wake him up one night just to see if that triggered anything and it didn't. But
yeah, he just goes, oh, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I out here?
Yeah.
Like, wow, I did not know that. There's probably like little stuff like that. I mean, I feel like, oh, let me ask you a question. The mission where you had to get the poop, did you get that to help Wambus? Did you go through his? Okay, so there's a series of missions where you're supposed to help Wambus because he's trying to like farm, grow them, and essentially he's like, hey, I can't get him to grow. Can you bring me these Bugsnax? So you bring the Bugsnax, and he's like, man, they're not growing. He's like, you know what? I need fertilizer, and basically he gives you something to give to
Filbo. Yeah, Filbo. I do remember that one.
And Filbo's like, oh my gosh, I gotta use it. Like, I thought it was hilarious. Filbo runs to the bathroom, drops a dump. So I glitched the game a little bit, and I was able to get the poop out of the toilet from outside of the house.
I did the same thing. Yeah.
Oh snap! I was gonna ask you, what did the poop look like? Because I don't
know.
I never saw it. You know,
I think I could see like the corner of it because I was standing it behind the outhouse, and then you can see like a little corner of it.
See a little piece that's like bluish or something. I can't remember.
I think they put it in a manure bag or something. It didn't look gelatinous or anything. So
man, I was like, man, I never got to see what it looked like.
I know speedrun strats that worked against us.
I was like, oh, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Wambus.
Look it up. Oh no,
Wambus. What was his name?
Philbo.
In
the outhouse. Your Google search history is about to be jacked up, son.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll see if I can find it later, and I'll send you a picture of it. Oh, yeah, I was like, snap! I didn't get to see what it looked like. But yeah, so
I actually had another instance where like trying to do a speed run strat messed me up. It was with Beffica, and you can read her journal, and you can see what her favorite bug snack is.
Yeah,
like the hot dog one, I think. And so, or was it the chips? It eventually becomes the chips.
It was the hot dog one, I think. Yeah, it was on the wall. It was on the wall of the cave that she was sleeping in.
Yeah. And so I went and grabbed it, and I fed it to her, and she changed, and she was like, oh, thanks for the bug snack. And then like 2 missions later, she was like, you know what? I have a favorite bug snack. If you get it for me and feed it to me, I'll come to the island. And I was like, oh, I already did it. It's just going to trigger the event. And it didn't. I was like, man.
Wow. So you did it beforehand, but it didn't register as you doing it. That's interesting.
But then later, when she says, when she asked for her journal, if you're already holding it, that'll trigger. Okay. So it was inconsistent in that regard.
And have you seen the video of the guy who does I think I sent it to y'all, the Bugsnax speedrun in like 10 minutes?
It's ridiculous.
He just skips, like, and the developers are watching it, and they're like, oh.
Yeah, this man, like, doing parkour.
He just jumped and glitched in, basically, from the beginning, straight to the end.
Yeah.
And I guess they did a lot of safety things where, like, if you get to a certain point, they just automatically add something to your inventory, the tools. Mm-hmm. So, like, he was good. Like, you didn't have to do anything. Mm-mm. I'm like, snap. Like, this game, they were like, yo, we made this in Unity.
We know what Unity is about.
And they weren't even mad. They were like, yeah, I can see that makes sense. Like, just if you just get there.
Collision is what it is. I mean.
So apparently, just side note, Triffany's the cactus was called Cactrify.
Cactrify.
Like Triffany, but cactus. Cactrify.
Not even Cactrifany. Did he call her Triffy, I guess?
Yeah, she called it Triffy. Apparently, once Triffany is back in Snaxburg, the cactus can be found in many different places, seemingly having moved on its own. It can appear in the tent with Triffany. I've seen
it there.
The second floor of Lizbert and Eggabell's hut.
What?
This is never commented by any character. Huh.
How do you even find a cactus? Are there more cactuses out there?
Yeah, I guess he went to the desert.
Wow, sentient. It's a bug snack.
Huh.
This game, man.
Wow.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I did see it in her tent, and I was like, that's a weird thing to keep in your own tent, you know, a statue of yourself made by your grieving husband.
that I would have been like, you better destroy that thing.
Yeah, burn that mug.
Like, why you got cactus prickles all over your body? Don't worry about that, baby.
I tripped.
It's on your lips. and on that note, I think we're gonna wrap up this podcast. Man, this was a juicy podcast. I feel like we definitely have to do this again with more games.
For sure.
Pull up the wikis, look at stuff, because I'm learning just clicking through, like, you know, and I'm happy that I didn't look at any of this stuff beforehand, because it's kind of cool that, you know, run into this. So, but yeah, man, for anybody listening to this podcast, definitely play Bugsnax. It's free on the PS5 if you have PlayStation Plus. And it was like, what, $16, $20
It's super cheap, yeah, and
for the PS4.
It goes on sale a lot.
Yeah, so definitely play it.
Listen to the song.
Yes. The Bugsnax theme song. Is that what you said?
Yeah, listen to the Bugsnax theme song before you play the game, and then once you listen to it after you play the game, it's gonna blow your mind. Unless you listen to this whole podcast, and maybe not.
Then you know everything. It's like an anime intro. They tell you everything that's gonna happen in the anime, but you don't realize oh, this is everything. Even when you try to decode it, it doesn't necessarily tell you everything. You just know something's gonna happen. So anyway, thank you so much for checking out this special episode, this duo podcast of Super Agile Bros. We really appreciate you guys listening. As always, thank you, Kyle, for your time.
Always a pleasure,
for actually playing Bugsnax. I know you were hype about it, like playing it, and I'm happy that we found that it could be played on the PS4. Also sad that you got a PS5 not too long after that.
Like a month.
It is what it is.
No regrets.
No regrets. It was worth the experience. It was worth the money. They deserve the money. Thank you guys for listening, Super Agile Bros. We really appreciate it. Definitely leave comments below. And maybe even leave comments of games that you think me and Kyle should play so we can have a deep dive into. We'd love to break into any game. We love games. For game developers. It's what we do. So, we're a special bunch. So please leave your comments below. Leave your thoughts on what games we should play next. Thank you guys for checking out this special podcast of Super Agile Bros. And until next time, y'all be easy. As you all know, everything is Bugsnax. Take it easy. Peace.